Good afternoon. I hope everyone's well today. Thank you for watching. It is appreciated. It's never a dull moment on the right of centre in politics in the United Kingdom currently, and I want to lay out my thoughts on the developments from today, and I want to bring to you a bit of my viewpoint, which is what you're here for. I'm a Reform UK voter, I'm a Reform UK member, I'm in Runcorn and Halesby, that's recently elected a Reform UK MP in Sarah Poachin. For too long in the north, for too long in these safe red wall seats, the immigration question, the atrocity of mass migration to the United Kingdom, and the damage it's wrought, and the damaging effect on the cohesiveness of communities, has never been mentioned by Labour MPs on the backbenches, on the floor of the House of Commons. They don't see it as their issue. If their constituents are bringing it to them and they're told not to talk about it by head office, by Keir Starmer and Angela Rayner, then they won't. It's the reason why the grooming gangs went unreported, because it was Labour areas and they didn't think it was their issue or it was going to be embarrassing for them. So they chose not to do that, and they chose to protect the predators preying on British people and their children. That is why Reform UK is here, and that is why Reform UK is gaining as much momentum and traction as it has. And that's my that's my story, and that's my position. There's two trains of thought with people on the right. You've got the train of thought that think that we need Thatcherism 2.0, that want global Britain, they want open markets, but they want sound money, and they want to lower migration. Alright? That's the first pincer, and that's the first stripe of the right of centre people in politics. Then you've got the cultural conservatives, the people that think the actual identity of England and the United Kingdom more broadly needs to be protected and preserved, and the very specific things, the very particular way of life in Britain is at risk, primarily due to mass migration. And there are two different factions, and they're currently fighting on the right. My opinion is both are important, and neither one is right and neither one is wrong. Both are valid. I think Margaret Thatcher, out of all the prime ministers, was the most impressive in my lifetime, and each one has been worse than the last until we get to Keir. You need to remember that the goal is whatever happens to Keir and his really, really abysmal Labour government needs to go at the next election, if not sooner. That is the prize, and that's what the focus should be. Then we look at Ben Habib. He was a former higher up in Reform UK and a former candidate that didn't win a seat at last year's election. He's launched a political party today called Advance UK. You can become a member for a tenner. The first 30k are going to be under a tenner, and he's not going to actually register it as a political party until it reaches that critical mass of 30k. There's a lot of things that Ben Habib says that I agree with, and the thing I want to point to is he is an example of how integration into the wider British society can work. He is from a South Asian descent. He is married into a British family, and he is an example of integration and how it can work. So people on the right get called racist because we want low migration and they think integration is important. It is. All of that is important, and you're not racist for saying that it is important and it should be the focus. The most important thing that Ben put out in one of his promo videos today is this clip that I'm going to put out now, and I'm going to show to you.
What does Advance UK stand for? It's very simple. We stand for a proud, independent, prosperous United Kingdom. And how do we get that? The first is we stand for the nation state of the United Kingdom of Great Britain and Northern Ireland, in all its parts and for all its people. At the heart of our constitutional foundation are the Acts of Union 1800, and we will make sure that those acts are observed completely.
Nothing I disagree with that. We are the United Kingdom. There's 4 parts to the United Kingdom, 3 separate jurisdictions: England and Wales, Scotland, and Northern Ireland. The backstop, Brexit backstop, and the Windsor Framework and the Northern Ireland Protocol all segregate British citizens away from each other, and that is unacceptable. This is something that Reform UK is really, really weak on, and they need to be really, really strong on. So I completely agree with Ben, and I completely agree with the aim of the party Advance UK. I agree with that, and that's not a contradiction. I can support Reform UK, and I can also say, yeah, Ben Habib has a point, because he does have a point. And more to the central issue, he's a good person, and that comes through whenever you see him in interviews, whenever you see him on TV. He comes through as authentic and real. So I've got nothing but praise for Ben Habib. Then we move on to Rupert Lowe. He's put out a statement as well today, and his statement says, "Today we are launching Restore Britain, a movement for those who believe we need to fundamentally change the way that Britain is governed. We build a policy platform together, a movement will be created together, a plan will be forged together. This is not a political party, but a fundamentally different way of doing things. Members from political parties are welcome to join us on this journey if they share our values and want to be part of a bottom-up movement that has the potential to transform Britain. I do not have all the answers. I am not a politician. I find myself in Parliament, independent, isolated, without a party. But strangely, during my time in politics, I have never felt more part of a team. There are good, talented, dedicated people all over this country who are tired of petty Westminster politics. Now is not the time for another political party. Our job is to bring people together, providing a vehicle that can deliver the radical restoration that is required." And he put out this as well. I'm going to show you this now. This is Restore Britain, by the way, Rupert Lowe's gig. "Nearly 2 million illegal immigrants live in Britain, costing $10 billion a year. Small boat crossings will reach 50k this year alone. Asylum system costs the British taxpayer $6.4 billion this year. The Casey audit identified illegal migrants are involved in the sexual exploitation of young girls. Every single one needs to go. Restore Britain." Not a single thing in that statement, as a Reform voter and a Reform member, do I disagree with. There's a lot of good people on the right, whether you look at the Homeland Party, UKIP, Reclaim, Reform, and these 2 new parties as well, and the Heritage Party as well. I still think that before the next election there will be a unification of sorts on the right, and we will sweep to power. That is my opinion, that is my view. There's been a lot of comments that Farage and Tice have put out in interviews, little snippets here and there. And they're pretty bad answers. The answers aren't thought through, and they don't ring through as authentic. And as a Reform voter and member, I can call that BS out, which is what I'm doing here, and I will continue to do that. It's not an anti-Reform channel if you're a Reform voter, and I will promote Reform because they are my party currently. But it's not static, it does move and it does change, and can change over time. I was originally a Labour voter when I first started voting in the early 2000s. Now I look back at my younger self and I'm like, what the hell was I doing? These political parties, especially the one with Ben Habib and the movement that Rupert Lowe's putting together, what they do is they apply pressure to the leadership at Reform UK, and this can only be a good thing. As I say, anything in this statement that Rupert Lowe put out, all of these points here, deport all illegals. Many, or most, if not all, of Reform UK members and voters think this. Why is this not party policy with Reform UK? And this is the imperative thing that I want to say. Less than 100 years ago, during World War II, we saved the entire continent of Europe with the help of America from a tyrannical government. We did that on the beaches of France. We did that. We should celebrate that and be proud of it. I'm never going to shy away from celebrating the United Kingdom and celebrating our achievements. I will never be spoken down to, and I'll never be called racist, because I am not. What I will say is that all of this that has happened in the past 50 years with mass migration, firstly from the empire countries, then from the European Union, and recently, thanks to the Boris wave, from third world countries. All of this is without democratic consent. We did not consent to this. And that's what you need to be mindful for. That's what you need to remember. We're not the radical ones here. We're the ones that want our country back. Now, if you think that I am right, that there is going to be a unification on the right before the next election, you let me know. There is already precedent for this in the current Parliament. You've got Reform UK, the Tories, and Rupert Lowe all uniting to demand that the crime statistics are broken down by nationality. We need to know what percentage of crime is by foreigners and if it's disproportionate to the native population. I think we all know the answer to that, which is why the government isn't wanting to release the information. So we will work together, we'll bring along a lot of people on the journey, and we'll get our country back. That's the prize, our United Kingdom. Anyway, if you like this video and you think I'm onto something, let me know. If you think Cheshire, Damien, you're completely deluding yourself, this is never going to happen, I think you're underestimating what concentrated minds will achieve. Have a good day. Thank you for watching.